Ladies and gentlemen, and Sergei, thank you for the kind introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are. As introduced by Sergei, I'm the Vice Director of the first 6G program in the world, the 6G Flagship, which is run in the University of Oulu. First question we need to ask ourselves is, what is 6G? And the answer is, nobody knows. However, what we do know is that a new mobile generation appears approximately every 10 years. And this actually puts 6G on the roadmap to be available somewhere in the 2030s. The first release of 5G is currently being deployed. The standard was ready in 2018 and first deployment started 2019, and now they're going away in many of the countries throughout the world. The 5G performance and the use cases will continue to develop in the coming releases. The 3GPP is the standardization body taking care of all the cellular technology standardization, and they release every 18 months a new standard. The 6G will take on board new technologies that are not yet in 5G, which are beyond the 5G capabilities. It is not yet clear what the 6G will entail, but there are relevant technologies that are related to sensing and imaging, which will be maybe a little bit more described later on. And as for us, a research unit, it is essential that we always do work which is basically 10 years ahead of what is reality. And that's why it's a perfect time to start identifying the needs, the performance requirements, system and radio challenges, and major technical options for 6G to get actual devices in 2030s. Couple of words about this very large 6G program. The 6G Flagship was initiated through Academy of Finland funding in 2018, and it's an 8-year program lasting up to 26. The approximate evaluated volume over these 8 years is approximately 250 million euros. It's not guaranteed, part of it comes through projects, but a lot of it is already there. 300 experts have been working in this program, and more are expected in the future. The flagship program is operated by our university, but of course we co-create with many of the partners, Nokia, Keysight, Interdigital, for instance, as companies, and VTT, Aalto University, Business Oulu, and Oulu University of Applied Sciences as research partners and marketing partners. The 4 major research areas are in the beginning of this 6G research program are wireless connectivity, targeting 1 terabit per second data rates, devices and circuits, which is looking for new semiconductor material and circuit designs, since one of the key issues in 6G is to go higher in the frequency, and that actually puts a large research pressure to look for new materials and circuits, since silicon-based solutions do not work when we go really high, or they need to be developed further. The third area is distributed computing, which basically tells us 2 things. It's about artificial intelligence and machine learning, but it's not the traditional one which you see, but it's machine learning at the edge of the network with very dynamic data, meaning that the data is valid only for a few tenths of milliseconds up to seconds. So you need to do really, really fast learning and decision making. And the fourth area is services and applications, where we look at future devices, for instance, AR, VR, smart displays all over the place. It could be glass in a car window or elevator window or whatever. And it could be a holographic display. It could be different devices connected to 5G, making them user equipment. For instance, we have an excavator which is 5G enabled, or drones, or let's say hyperspectral cameras or lidars or whatever. So we are making the world 5G enabled and in the future, of course, also 6G enabled. Basically, in this slide, you can see the 4 research areas in the left upper hand corner of the slide. And basically, these 4 areas, research areas, gives us the flagship goals. First of all, we are supporting the industry in finalization of the 5G technology in the future releases of the standard. Then, in a more blue sky research, we look at the fundamental technologies for 6G, may it be imaging or sensing or whatever. And then we also affect the policies and the legislation by speeding up digitalization of society via 5G and 6G, and more specifically through regulatory and legislative research that needs to be put in place before new business models can actually appear. The output of the program in the first 2 years of its existence is quite remarkable. In terms of academic output, we have 1,100 peer-reviewed publications. We have 46 doctoral degrees awarded. We have organized 2 global wireless summits. And we have published the first 6G research white paper, the vision of what the 6G should look at, and then 11 other white papers which take a more closer look at the thematic topics in the area. And this will lead to new solutions in different verticals, may it be health, industry, automotive, energy, and eventually this tells us one thing. The world is all about data in the future. And one of the key issues in 6G is not to just provide more communication capabilities, more sensing capabilities, or more imaging capabilities, but rather data-driven future society. It only is enabled by this 6G, so it's all about data and hence also machine learning and AI. This I already told you. When we go higher in the frequency domain, it means that we do have in our portfolio new things that we can actually do. When we go higher, we can start to use the signal similarly what radar does. So we can start sense and image the environment. And this is now going to be one of the disruptive technologies in the 6G era. And also the fact that this machine learning and artificial intelligence will be brought close to you, even up to your user device, may it be AR, VR goggles, or a phone form factor type of device. As I mentioned, we have published 12 white papers which define, first of all, the vision, and then several probable technologies in different domains, as well as what is the business landscape going to look like in the future. And one of the issues is also how do we take into account the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals while we go towards 6G. And all these white papers are available at our 6gchannel.com, and there you can find these white papers. Take a look at them and enjoy. Already mentioned this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And what we here at the University of Oulu would like to and have already highlighted is that this, for the first time, needs to be really intertwined in the system designs. And we basically see that the 6G has the threefold role in providing a better understanding of the SDGs. It can provide services for other business areas that will help us to reach the UN SDGs. It is also an enabler of measuring tools, how to get data out of how do we actually succeed towards the sustainability. And it's going to be a reinforcer of a new ecosystem to be developed in line with the United Nations SDG. And the ecosystem here means that new players are entering the market, providing, for instance, data services, security services, remote area services, whatever is there required for the future society. Well, some words about technology. I have a couple of slides here which are telling you something that we actually, it's not just paper tasting science. We also have a test network here at the University of Oulu that can be used for experimental research, trying out algorithms, trying out test equipment, trying out applications, integrating devices, for instance, hyperspectral cameras into the network as 5G user device or a self-driving car as a 5G user device. And we started this activity 2015, and so we have 5-year expertise in this area. We have a lot of capabilities already available. We have the 4G capability, obviously. We have the 5G connectivity available. We have IoT connectivity technologies such as the narrowband IoT or the LTE-M available, as well as non-cellular technologies like Wi-Fi, LoRa, ultra-wideband technologies that we can use in this test network to do some wireless experimentation. But as I mentioned, the future is more, for Research Institute, more 6G oriented. And then you can see in this slide that we gradually go towards 6G devices in the next few years. We already have one 6G flavored device available in the network. It's in 300 gigahertz area, and it's basically able to provide close to 100 gigabit per second data rates. Already talked about these different devices and user interfaces. There will be a lot of devices that have 5G capability, and they are 5G user devices, and this will continue further into the future. But also in the research domain, we do a lot of different things. You can see a lot of themes there. I'm not going to dwell in them. They are rather complex matters, but what I would like to emphasize is this, that we as researchers need to be part of the societal discussion in standardization, regulation and legislation work. So we need to generate an environment where new business models can take place and complement the existing mobile network operator business model so that we can get new players entering the market, and this will be obvious in a couple of slides. One of the key issues in getting these new players into the marketplace is these verticals. Well, what is a vertical? It's basically a business area. It could be health, it could be energy, it could be shopping, banking. There are a lot of these. And in one of the white papers, we looked at the possible requirements stemming from these verticals. And here we have some of them. We have industry, we have e-health, we have energy, finance, public safety, and agribusiness. These are just examples. And through a joint effort of global experts, we came up with some numbers for some of the key performance indicators which are defining the vertical requirements for a wireless system. There is, for instance, link data rate, latency, link budget, blah, blah, blah. A lot of these are available there, and we have given them some kind of an estimate what a vertical would require. And this will tell us that there is no single player that can actually offer these kind of capabilities to all of the different verticals. So we need new players to emerge in the market to look at the devices and the requirements that are going to be needed in a vertical. And this gives a rise to something that we have come up here with at the University of Oulu. We called it at the beginning the local operator. It's an operator that is operating wireless networks, for instance, in a factory, or in a campus like a university campus, or in a hospital, or in a shopping mall, where all the services and the wireless connectivity solutions are tailored for the environment, for the service offering, and for all the required components of their operations. And hence, we have started to call this one service-specific, specific service providers, which now could be the new player in the market that can offer for these different verticals optimized services that take into account understanding of the KPIs, dynamics of the vertical, as well as the business inside it. So, we already talked about the United Nations SDGs. And these are a couple of examples what we need to evaluate when we go forward into the future. For instance, there are several UN SDGs that could be affected by providing better coverage, providing better energy efficiency, and sometimes longer delays are allowed. So, for instance, in remote areas, we can offer new services based on new type of thinking in the system design. So, this is one of the new things that we call them value indicators for doing a new system design. It's not only about the performance, but it's also about the value it provides. Then a couple of slides about the future is made in Oulu. I will not dwell here for a very long time. There will be a couple of other presentations by Susanna Pirttikangas and Olli Liinamaa who will dwell more on this topic, but a couple of slides about this one as well. First of all, there is a slide about how to come and study in University of Oulu for master programs. There is one landing page there, this 6G Flagship / study opportunities. And the application period is in January, 17 to 20 of January 21. Then a couple of examples of our international programs. Susanna will be talking about these maybe a little bit more later on in her presentation. And a marketing slide of our weekly webinar series. So we are having a weekly webinars based on the white papers that we have launched, and they will continue until December. You can find more information about this also from our 6G channel. And we are also publishing a biannual or triannual magazine called 6G Waves. And this is a fantastic opportunity for you to keep up what we are doing here at Oulu while we are going forward towards 6G. Again, you can find it in 6gchannel.com/6G Waves, and you can actually even subscribe to a paper version if you are allergic to electricity. And I guess here are a couple of other links where you can find more information about us. And I believe I have concluded what I wanted to say today. Thank you.